This week's channeled message is a joint message that's from the angels and the Mother of Creation, all about why your specific journey is so important, is so significant, because we are right now forming the new template for what humanity will become right from within us and our own experiences. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so glad to have you here. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. I do that by going into a deep meditative state or trance, and from there I raise my awareness up as high as I can go, a little higher, I connect, and then messages and healing come through, and I share it here with you guys on YouTube. Although honestly, my channeling practice is starting to change. It always does. You think you have it down, and then boom, they change it. And my practice is now changing. I'm finding that as I'm starting to bring in this new energy, the Mother of Creation, she comes in, she's coming in with the angels, they're coming together. But then as I go to ground, I normally would drop down my root and connect from my root. Every time I do that, she just wraps the earth up around me and it just envelops me. And then the energy that I'm channeling is just like that. It comes in, it literally just wraps around me. So it's so different. I'm still getting used to it. And but the messages are just stunning. And it's like the concepts that are coming through are from her, but then the angels are helping to craft the message because they're the ones who built my connection. They're the ones who basically molded my specific channel. So she and they are coming in together. So you'll hear the message, you'll see a lot of the wording. The wording is similar. It's not exactly the way it used to be because she's in there. It's like they're doing it together, but the concepts are all hers. They're very cosmic. The concepts are big, and she's seeing us from this much higher perspective. And I find it to be absolutely expansive. I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. And I've been having a lot of conversations, channeled conversations with her, which I will be sharing with you guys. I got to figure out the right format because they're just amazing conversations about the structure of the universe and about the structure of our souls, a history of a soul. So amazing, and stuff that's just way beyond anything I've ever tapped into before. So yeah, I'm thrilled to be sharing it with you. And these messages are, as always, very timely to what we're going through right now. Today's message I think this is it's really reminding us. Like I think one of the ways we've been thinking about our shift in consciousness is that I think we think about it as like a bus that's going, that like it's leaving, it's taking off, it's going to this 5D or whatever you want to call it, the new state of consciousness, and we are just racing to try to catch the bus. Like that's how we've all been thinking about it. A lot of us I've been thinking about it that way. And this message says, no, that's not what it is. That in fact, you are the bus, that you are creating the bus, and that the bus will be whatever we become. So in other words, that if we fall off our practice, if we don't do our work, then the bus is not going to be that great, right? It's like how high do we want to go? How free do we want to be? And that's what this message is. And they're not challenging us so much as inviting us in the sweetest way to say, hey, you are making what we are going to be. You are the template. Like you guys, you who are interested in this kind of information, who are on your healing journey, you are the ones who are going to be stepping into this new reality as the flash of light that's supposed to come, which is a solar energy that's meant to be the moment that we look back on and say, hey, that's the moment that changed everything. That's the big boost we all got. Those of you who are doing your healing now and go into that boost in such a way that it just amplifies, but that you're able to come into balance, your masculine and feminine, and connect to your higher self, embodying more and more of your higher self, that sets the template. That process of healing, that process of loving yourself becomes the template by which humanity learns to love one another. And so we have to do this work now. Like if we want to get to a place of world peace, if we want to get to a place where humanity as a collective consciousness finds love for one another, we have to find love within ourselves. And so this message is all about it, and it's gorgeous. Absolutely. And it describes how the process of your own healing becomes contagious. So anyways, I will just dive right into it because it's a beautiful poetic message, and I cannot wait for you to hear it. And I'm going to share, when I channeled the message yesterday, I have the audio of that, so I will play that for you. And then afterwards, I will come back and we can break it down and talk about, because when we talk about it together, I always come to deeper insights and understandings. So hopefully that's helpful for you too. And I will timestamp. Here is the timestamp of the channel message. And then this is the timestamp of the conversation afterwards. So I also want to remind you, this message is all about why it's important to take our healing seriously. My part in trying to help with that process is to offer Soul Convergence. Soul Convergence is my program that balances your masculine and feminine energies. It brings you into unity. It helps you to connect to that higher self, to your higher aspect. And it does it in a very, very gentle, yet deeply healing way. It's incredibly hard to do this work on your own, and everyone needs support. And I know there's a lot of different places you can get it. Soul Convergence, what is unique about this process, it is a self-paced process, but you will also, through the process, be having access to dream analysts that are going to be showing you will be able to see your progress in your dreams. Yet there will be ways that you can mark, this is where I started, this is where I was out of balance, and this is how I see the progress of my own healing. And it's clear as day. So that's part of the fun, part of what makes it so rewarding. That a lot of times, I know we do our own healing and you don't even know if you've made progress or not. You think it works, you might feel a little different, but you don't really know. So I love that part. And don't worry if you don't dream. We have techniques to help you dream. And then at the end of the day, if you're one of those people that stubbornly, and there is usually a couple that end up not dreaming, we have other methods to help you access your subconscious so you will have the same experience. But the program starts again on June 15th. So come and join me. It's an amazing healing process. In 11 weeks, you will be in a perspective where you feel so much more peace. So I hope you'll check it out. Here's the link, and I'll put the link below in the description box. We start June 15th. All right, enjoy the message.
The trials and torments of where you are, of what is near, are temporary and felt for now, but not always. The substantial separation of yourselves from what is here shall come, and you shall know the divide and call upon it with reverence, and know yourselves to have come this far, and say to yourselves that the time of separation is done, and we shall as one determine the new circumference of what is to become. We shall, united as one consciousness, awareness, as one soul speaks within itself, all shall hear. The new frame of tomorrow is being born. In the same sense, you are within your own separation. In the same sense, now is your time to come into wholeness. You are within a point of reference that is singular, that is one among many, and yet constrained within the bounds of what is your own understanding. Your limitation harbors within it a sense of loneliness, of isolation. And we say that this time is in training. These are moments within which you are endowed the sense of yourself as what is becoming, where you are the one among the many who shall each endeavor to frame themselves differently, who shall come into the horizon, into the precipice of tomorrow as someone quite changed, someone made ready, someone who holds the greater power of their own endorsement within them. And these changes made one by one coalesce into a communal sharing of what is the great divide, the preparation that you are making. You are one and the same, the self-same embodiment that has always come, has always been shown into this earth as you have always been made. You are a soul which has been endowed with many of the same trials, again, in remembering. The remembrance brought forward into tomorrow, all has come as before. And there has not been much change. There has not been much significance in the drawings down of each specific or perpendicular incarnation. there have been replays again and again, much the same. And these same memories made within the relationships, within the endeavors you have tried, there have been communal efforts and artifices which have been made available to yourself. And these feelings that replay again and again and are made to become something in each new frame. And we say the time of separating from yourself is nearly made, is nearly done, is nearly time for reflection, to pull apart all that has been before, to take it apart and to wish within it that you are made whole, to take apart the wholeness for investigation. This has been the suggestive pose for many incarnations, to move away from the center, to distribute yourself among many lives, many incarnations, many moments, to take yourself apart into so many instantiations of what you are, and to look at yourself from every possible pose and to wonder for yourself, how have you been made and to what purpose shall you rise to become whole again? And in this distancing from what you are, what you know has become central to your existence. In this distancing from what you are, what you know has become the housing that is celebrated. It has been a processing by which you diagnose through the obstacles that are put before you. And as you come full circle in your comprehension, in this roundabout wheel of reincarnation, and you come into your wholeness, into your fullness, as the singular into the whole, into the plural, into the oneness. You are made and made again and reframed into the becoming of what is new. So as you journey within yourself to be made whole, all that is around you journeys through you and comes forward onto the precipice of the new beginning. Thus you are the predecessor of the great shift of humanity. You embody what is coming. You are the conveyor of this truth. You become what is to be. As you heal what is within you, so heals humanity. You lay the groundwork, the framework of the new becoming. You are what it shall be. The more you heal, therefore, the more you will be free. And we say to focus upon now, in your own moments of quiet solace, to focus upon the significance of your own role, of your own purpose for becoming, to hold within the family of humanity the trial of becoming, and to become one who is among the many, who shall then share the wealth of your own journey and draw into the fold of renewal those you shall meet, and shall bring all that is and has been known within the capacity of separation back into wholeness and unity. And this processing that you shall have done, which you shall meet, grows in its capacity to encompass the whole. For as you demonstrate within your own soul the substance of completion, this completion shall be met with outer resistance. And as this is relinquished, so the whole shall come to meet you. The processing of your own experience must be held as significant, must be held as important, done for yourself and for the entirety of humanity. You are one cell within the body, one moment within all time. You are, however, not insignificant, for the whole cannot exist in completion without your journey. And your journey, as it comes and becomes into itself, savors the experience and this explanation of what it is to travel through and beyond, to separate and renew yourself back into wholeness, becomes the historical artifact of the time that has been, of the separating. And as you separate from these experiences and come into renewal, a new time frame is set that is modeled upon the ingenuity, the novelty, the discovery of your own renewal, of your own experience, of your own journey. Each of these are compiled into the fabric of a new human mind, a new human method to interact. For within yourself you find the template of resistance fades as you come into wholeness, as you come into unity, as you come into self-acceptance. And this template is then shared externally beyond the self and is contagious within the fabric of all humankind. And as the internal harmony is met with external resistance, healing happens. And humanity then models itself upon the journey that you are taking and comes into its own struggle, conveyance, resuscitation. The revisitation of all it has felt and done must come into the mind, into the time frame of this experience, and all shall be revealed into love, into the self-expression of the human consciousness as one of peaceful harmony. Resistance shall no longer be felt within your own self, your own soul, and within that of the whole, which shall be conquerable only by its own divinity. The divinity of the starlight that you carry is infectious, and as you draw this down into your own incarnation, it becomes something more than what moves through you. It becomes a contagion, a spreadable experience of life, a sense of what you are and what you do that can be held in the consciousness of another long enough for them to breathe your world, to taste your truth, and to want it. Within, the internal desire to rupture, to part from what has been the divide, the separation within their own hearts, is renewed. And this awakening, begun so softly, so secretly, so quietly within you, becomes a wild fire of interpretation from one soul to the next, as each one begins to feel the concreteness of this reality dissipate, and the suggestive layer of what is before you come into the frame of your own knowings. We wish for you to take the template of your own healing, to know that your distance, your journey cannot be made and extinguished. No. It shall take its form, it shall take its place in all that you do, in all that you relinquish and lay down and step through and move beyond. It shall become the framework for humanity as it is made from within you. Thus we say, your journey is precious. Your journey is important. What you have made of yourself, through yourself, from yourself, where you have found your truth within the soul's expression, which you have loved and brought into the physical. This dimensional aspect of yourself becomes concrete and contagious.
So, yeah, gorgeous message, like I said. And like I said, very, very different. This is a unique perspective and blended with the angels. The angels are in there helping to craft the message. Like, they are the ones who built my channel, basically. So they are still very involved. But this is the voice of the mother of creation. And she's talking about us and our consciousness in such a cosmic way that it's hard sometimes to wrap your head around, except the way she presents it. And it seems so simplified. It seems so easy. To me, it does. You know what I mean? But I get that the perspective is enormous. Like, she sees us, and this is the crazy thing. She sees us not just as the collective consciousness of humanity, but she sees all of our existence. It's like all of the universe, everything that we have ever imagined is all like one cell, and we're trying to come into wholeness. We're trying to come into unity. So humanity is like one little piece. Like, all of humanity is one little piece of that whole puzzle. And then all of us are like a tiny piece inside that bigger piece of all of humanity, which is inside the bigger piece of the universe, which is a cell inside of some larger piece, which is crazy. And to even take it like a riff further, our consciousness, imagine that and this is something that she discussed with me in a previous channeling, imagine that what we think of as source, our version of what we think of as God, your word, you use your word, I use God. Imagine that our God is in the process of mitosis, pulling apart. That God wants to see itself, himself, herself, right? God wants to see itself. And so it starts to pull apart in the process of mitosis. So imagine that God is a cell inside of a much larger body of who knows what, right? And God as a cell says, I want to see myself. And so it pulls apart and creates the universe. And then in order for the universe to become whole, it needs to heal and see itself, right? And become unified and become a second soul. It's like there's God, and God is one universe, and then God created a whole other universe in a mirror image of itself, which is now trying to come into wholeness, and we play an important part of that. We are like little teeny tiny mitochondria or something. Like, humanity would be the mitochondria, and then we are like whatever the teenier bit is inside of that. That's humanity. But we are critical, because without us, the whole universe cannot come into wholeness, cannot become God, right? So I know it's like I said, very cosmic perspective, and it's hard to wrap your head around. But when you do, if for some reason it brings me this crazy peace, like it doesn't make me feel small, because there's a sense that we are all of it. Like, we are, in the same way that we are humanity, we are each other, we are whatever this larger being that we are all part of. We are it, like, just like in your own body, every cell has the template for the entire body. Your stem cells could recreate any part of you. Every cell is the whole, and you are not only the whole universe, but then whatever's outside of that. You are all of it, and you have access to all of it. The more that we become unified, the more we become one with everything, and we have access to all of it. So it's literally like being, each of us is like the brain of the whole experience, the whole everything. So our experience expands to incorporate the all. So you might say, well, what if I'm just the pinky? What if I'm just like the little tiny bit over here? But no, when we're tapped into the oneness, then we become part of the thinky part. We become the brain that controls everything, and not necessarily controls. It's not about control. It's about experiencing, right? We have this connection to the everything. So yeah. And you're saying, Penny says, I have to listen to that again 10 more times. It sounds like this will change, but when? Yes, it is definitely a 10 timeser for real. Yeah, and Rodney says, so many truths stated so eloquently and precisely. Yeah, and I am love-filled. I am overflowing. I love it. Oh, you said mother knows best. I love that. Yeah, a lot of buffering. I'm so sorry about that, you guys. I will work on getting this. It shouldn't be buffering that much, and I'll work on that to try to make it better. But you're saying, oh my gosh, that was gorgeous. I know, right? It's crazy beautiful. And it really is all about this idea that and what the message is really telling us is take yourself seriously. Like, I think there is such a tendency to not trust that you are important, and to trust that, okay, well, there's a bus that's leaving for some destination, and my role is just try to get on the bus. Like, that's how we think of this ascension, of this shift in consciousness. We think that, like, the bus, there's a predetermined destination, and we're just hurrying to try to get on the bus, And she's saying, no, you are the bus. Like, you are it. You are creating the template for what we're going to become. And like, the more work we do on ourselves now, the freer we get, the freer all of humanity will become. And it's not entirely up to us. Like, we help each other, and that's the job. Our job is to try to boost each other, to lift each other as much as we possibly can, right? Because your healing is my healing. Your freedom is my freedom. And so, like, that's the key. And to recognize that when I see you doing amazing things, when I see you healing those deep, difficult parts of yourself and grinding through it, I see that as healing, like you're creating a pathway for all of us to be free. And so it's really that, like she's telling us, like, we'll see how important this is. And we don't have a predetermined destination. No one has ever created humanity in this new way before, right? It's not a thing that it already exists. Humans will become something that has never existed before. And where does it come from? It has to come. It makes sense. It has to come from us. Like, we are the creators of our experience. So we are designing right now, as we are experiencing our own healing, going through this opportunity to heal as much as we possibly can. We are experiencing and creating our new freedom. And so I think it could not be more important, and certainly we're getting enormous assistance, and that doesn't in any way take away from the work that we're doing ourselves. We're getting huge amounts of assistance from all the energies that are hitting the planet, and the flash of light that's going to come, which is this energy, this solar energy that's going to help to boost us. But it's still, the energy comes and then it lifts us from within, right? We have to do something with the energy. So it's not something that we just are passive about. It's something that we are the creators of, right? So important, so amazing to me. Let's see here. And you're saying, oh, beautiful message. Oh, my heart is so open. Yay, Shelly. I love that. I love it. And Erin says, a new complex perspective that God made us in his image, not us, our bodies, but the entire world, the conflict, the healing, the everything. Yeah, exactly. Right. It blows my mind. And this is what she's been talking to me about. Like a lot. Like, we've been having these deep conversations, which I want to share with you guys. I think we're just going to have to do like some sort of a bigger download where like maybe we'll do an event that's like all about all this perspective, this new way of seeing it, because I feel like I need to put it in such a way that I can share it with you guys easily, because it's a brand new perspective, and it is this idea that and why wouldn't it be that? Because everything in our reality shows us that is how reality is, that everything is fractal, which means that everything is what is true for the small is true for the big. It's like you see a picture and then you look inside that picture and you see that same, everything that was in the picture is inside that picture in a small version. And then you look inside that small version and it happens again and again and again and again, and it just goes on to infinity. And it's just like I said, what's in the cell has the information for the whole body. The body has the template for the universe. The universe has the template for what? Right? For this greater consciousness. And that's what she showed me. God, our concept of God, is this mitosis, this separation, and creating a universe that will become God. Wow, right? Wow. Wow. And then there's something bigger. And I don't go beyond that. I kind of stop there. I'm like, bigger than God. Okay, I'm good. That's good. Just right there, I'm going to check out. Because beyond that, my mind goes poop, pop. And it just gets to be too. So I kind of stop there. That's as far as I need to go, I think. And maybe at some point, like maybe after we cross over, we will get the bigger of the bigger of the bigger. But at the moment, that's as far as I need to go. That's enough. But I still feel, despite that, I still feel significant. I still feel real in my body. I still feel like my perspective is important. I don't feel, and normally, if you think about like how big the world is, it can make you feel really insignificant. But it's that idea that you are everything, that everything is in you. And if the everything is that big, but you are the brain, right? As we think of what a brain is, if you are the brain of it all, and if the consciousness is that huge, it's different if you're the brain. But in this case, all the brain means, it doesn't mean controlling. It means understanding, right? It means experiencing. That's what being the brain means. And we all get to be the brain. So none of us are insignificant. And then what you experience is part of my experience, and it's all one. And that's the craziness that we're moving into. And that's the craziness that we will have access to. Yeah, totally mind-blowing. Yeah. So let's go ahead and break down the message and talk about it, because I think it will help us to get more out of the message. So here's what they say. in the first paragraph here. And this first paragraph this is the one where, and the first paragraph is when they kind of lay out what the message will be about. So here they say, the trials and torments of where you are, of what is near, are temporary and felt for now, but not always. So this is that reassurance of recognize that what you're going through right now is temporary, that this particular phase of experience is like, this is the moment when they're shaking everything up. Imagine like the little kid with the snow globe, and he wants everything to move, and so he just like, that's what's happening to our world. Like, everything is getting shook up so that we can heal as much as we possibly can. The polycrisis is real, and it's a polycrisis outside, and it's a polycrisis inside. So, and this is to help us. The point of this is to help us, to give us as much opportunity to let go of things as we possibly can, to let go of our resistance. That's the thing. We have to whatever we are in resistance of, whatever we wish didn't exist, that is what we have to let go of. We have to get into a space of stillness with what is, with acceptance of what is, and then from there we create something new. It doesn't mean that things have to stay the same forever. We just have to stop resisting what is. We get to the stillness is the place of creation. Stillness, which means no resistance. So let go of the resistance. If you're in something hard right now, let go of the resistance. Get to stillness, acceptance of what is. And in that space, you enter the place of creation. And from there, then when you're not in resistance, you find a place of peace. You create from peace. And then something new comes out of you. So that's what we're trying to achieve right now with the chaos around us. We have to strip everything we have resistance to, and then find acceptance of it. And that's everything inside of us that we have resistance to. Find stillness inside of ourselves, right? That's the goal. So they're saying this craziness won't last forever. It says not always. They say the substantial separation of yourselves from what is here shall come. So the substantial separation is when we're finally going to be done with this really chaotic period. So that'll be the substantial separation. There'll be a leap at some point. I'm guessing 2026. I could be wrong. That's not the angels talking. That's me. And that's astrology and some other stuff. I think sometime late 2026, mid to late. That's, I think, when we're going to get the flash of light. I could be wrong, but that's my guess. And that makes me happy because it's not that far off. So, but anyways, a substantial separation from what is. And then they say, and you shall know the divide and call upon it with reverence and know yourselves to have come this far. So they're saying you're going to make it. You're going to know what it is. You're going to look back on it and say, that, I can see it. Like, in other words, it won't be a subtle thing. It'll be a thing that everybody is aware. You will know it, and you will look back and be like, whoa, look, we used to be one way and now we are different. It'll be a marked difference, right? And say to yourselves that the time of separating is done. Woohoo! So the time of separation is done, which means this era of existence where we have been in separation from one another. They'll say that is done, and we are now in the era of unity. That will be how big of a difference it will be. Yeah, and that doesn't mean it'll be one and done. Like, it'll just be that it's like the tipping point. If you guys are familiar with what is his name? Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, is like you get to a place where it's like you're kind of over the hump and then it's downhill from there. And that's what we'll be. And then there'll be a lot of people after we go over the tipping point who are not with us yet, who are not, that people who have been deeply in denial or resistance or who just are not interested or whatever, that they will then have the rest of their natural life to feel the contagion, right? To be carried forward with the rest of us. And they can choose to come along or not, right? That's their choice. So, all right, so then they say, and we shall as one. And so they're saying we as one. So they're including us. So the angels, in other words, all of consciousness. It's not just humanity, it's all of consciousness. We shall as one determine the new circumference of what is to become. And so keep in mind that the angels have a vested interest in what we do, because angels, your guardian angel incarnates to be with you. So when you are born, every one of us gets a guardian angel, and angels normally are in essence. They're not incarnated. But when you incarnate, you are brought in with, attached to your body, as physical as as it's physical, but not in the way that your body, not as dense as we are, but yet they have a physicality, and they are born with you. So a guardian angel is an incarnated angel. They're just not in tissue. They're in like a light body. And so that's why people can see them. They're incarnated. So people who have that gift can see angels, some of them, but not the ones that are in ether, not the ones that are in essence. They have to actually show up in a light body of some sort. So, but in other words, they are with us. They're experiencing this with us. They're like, hey, we are going to create this, and they're here helping us. So they're in this with us together, right? We shall, united as one consciousness, awareness, as one soul speaks within itself, all shall hear the new frame of tomorrow is being born. Like, right? Super cool that we get to be part of this. They go on to say, in the same sense, you are within your own separation. In the same sense, now is your time to come into wholeness. So in the same way that humanity is doing it, each of us is doing it independently. You are within a point of reference that is singular, that is one among many, yet constrained within the bounds of what is your own understanding. Your limitation harbors within it a sense of loneliness, of isolation. And so they're acknowledging that we are, each of us, having an individual journey that mirrors the journey of the collective, that all of us individually are trying to get back to internal wholeness, and then that internal wholeness will spark unity in the collective. All right, and then they go on to say, and we say that this time is in training. So this is interesting. So what we are becoming the trainers, is how I see this. So you are the teachers, the trainers, the leaders, to try to guide humanity toward this internal unity. So that this time is in training. These are moments within which you are endowed the sense of yourself as what is becoming. You are what is becoming, right? You are the template of what the new reality will be, where you are the one among the many who shall each endeavor to frame themselves differently, who shall come into the horizon, into the precipice of tomorrow as someone quite changed. So in other words, you are doing your healing before the big leap. That's the idea. We're meant to do all this work now. So then we have the big push of light that comes, and then whoosh, right? And you are ready. You are there. And you are ready to help guide others who are not yet ready, right? And that's no judgment on them, as everybody takes a different journey. We're all going to get to the same place eventually. But the point is that you are in the advanced team, and you are here ready to serve as the template, to create the new reality that we are going to be, right? So you are as someone quite changed, as someone made ready, someone who holds the greater power of their own endorsement within them. And that means to hold the greater power of your own endorsement. So to endorse something is to like stamp it with approval, right? I endorse myself. I approve of myself. So the greater power of that, when you approve of yourself, it means you're no longer in resistance to any part of who you are, any part of your experience that you've had, even the horrible ones. When you finally get to a place where you no longer resist them, when you recognize that has been part of you, and that whatever it did to you, however it changed you, it made you more lovable, right? That's all it did. It made you more lovable. And so when you get to that place of loving all parts of yourself, it opens you. The resistance is gone. When there's no resistance, your higher self comes in. And as that higher self comes in, right, that is holding the greater power of your own endorsement. And that is the key to everything. When that is unlocked, it's like you balance your masculine and feminine energies, and it creates the triangle. And think about that triangle symbolism in all the different religions, like Father, Son, Holy Ghost, all of that. That triangle is like your masculine, your feminine, and your higher self. And you connect to that. When these two are balanced, you connect to the higher self. And then in comes that greater wisdom, that greater power, your connection to your divinity. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get aligned. And then we're trying to learn to be in that place of stillness in the middle, and to create from a place of peace. Yeah, from that internal harmony. Yeah. So that's what they're talking about. So that is holding the greater power of your own endorsement, right? And these changes made one by one, so by person, every single person doing this, the best that we can, that they coalesce into a communal sharing of what is the great divide. The preparation that you are making, right? So in other words, we come together as a whole, we coalesce. All right, next paragraph. And these next two paragraphs are about breaking apart. Oh, so this is so fascinating. the way that they share this in her perspective is so cool, because she sees us like for eternity. Like she sees your human soul as like forget about earth history, like forever history of your soul, as that's her perspective. So it's amazing to see it from her as if it's like no big deal. And it kind of blows my mind. And I want to get to what you guys are saying too. Rodney says, hearing the same message from multiple sources has only strengthened my acceptance and understanding of these concepts. There are slight differences, but the root message is quite clear to me. And I love that. I love that truth is coming through from different, and I think it's super important to hear from different perspectives, because everyone is a different lens on the same message, and it really helps. One might hit you strongly, more than another. M says, I accepted it being whatever it would be, and boom, it happened. Oh, I love it. And you say yes to get acceptance. I did that with an email to someone important in my life asking a question. And just as soon as I finally let go of the attachment to receiving the response I wanted, I received the response I wanted. Oh, I love that. I love that. Amina says, get into the space of stillness. That was the emphasis of last Friday's message. Yes, totally. Thank you for connecting it. Yeah, and they really are there. And that was her, again, was in that message. So this is really trying to bring it all together for us. And you're saying that Cindy channeled a similar perspective of the expansion of God, the universe. Very cool. Gail says, I need to just listen with my heart to truly hear this message. Thank you for saying that, Gail. I think that is so important. That it is. I think when you first listen to this, and I do too, like when it first comes in, I don't understand it really at all. And it's very heart-centered. I feel like this whole message is all about, it encompasses us. Just like I was talking about when I'm grounding now, like I don't go down. It's like the earth comes up and just wraps around me. And this message just comes up and wraps around you. It's just like that. It's feminine energy. It's the whole message is, even though the angels are in there helping to craft it in such a way that we can understand it. The energy is decidedly that. And it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah. All right, and Mike says, the Aeon Sophia is the story of our existence. She is the mother of creation. Her story is well worth researching. Oh, thank you. I'll be interested to see that, Mike. I'd be very curious. All right, so let's keep going. So here, this next paragraph, so they're saying here that this is about like what we've been doing, this period of separating. The way that I see it, it's almost like imagine that you have a cake and you're slicing the cake into pieces, and you slice it into 12 pieces, and that each piece tastes just like the whole, right? Each piece has all the information of the whole cake, but then you keep making small, you're like, okay, these are 12 experiences of this cake, and you give everybody a piece, but you're like, well, I want to actually have, of that one piece I just gave you, I want you to now share that with everyone in your family. And so you slice that into 12. The little piece gets sliced into 12 more pieces, and then each one of those gets sliced into individual bites, and then it just keeps on going and going and going and going, where the cake ends up being like tiny molecules of cake, right? Until the cake is like tons of people have tasted the cake. And that is what we've been doing with our soul, is that we came in and we said, okay, I want to have, and this is what's extra fascinating about it, is that we've said, I want to have this experience. I want to have this experience of what it is to be me under these constraints and with this kind of an environment and this kind of a circumstance. And then we say, great, now I want to have that experience from every possible perspective. And then I'm going to take every one of those perspectives and I'm going to divide it again in another 12 and then another 12. And I just picked 12 randomly, but then infinitely. And we separate ourselves out to understand that experience with infinitesimal changes between each one. We're like, I'm going to do it just like this, but different. I'm going to do that same life, but now I'm going to be the bad guy, or I'm going to be the good guy, or I'm going to be the poor guy, or the rich guy, or the whatever, right? I'm going to do it all. And so that's what this is talking about. So listen, it's fascinating. They say, you are one and the same, the self-same embodiment that has always come, has always been shown into this earth, as you have always been made. You are a soul which has been endowed with many of the same trials, again, in remembering. The remembrance brought forward into tomorrow, all has come as before, and there has not been much change. There has not been much significance in the drawings down of each specific or perpendicular incarnations. There have been replays again and again, much the same, right? So this is super interesting. So they're really saying that we've incarnated and experienced the same types of experiences on purpose and just change little things, right? It's like there's not much change, but it's been valuable all the same, because each time we say, well, what would I do? What would my soul do if I was in that same position, but this time I didn't win the lottery, or this time I wasn't the one chosen for the promotion, or this time I was the one chosen, or this time I stayed with that partner, right? Or whatever it is. Like we change it up and make it a different life, and we experience it from that perspective. And so then they say, and these same memories made within relationships, within the endeavors you have tried, there have been communal efforts and artifices, which, hold on here, have been made available to yourself. So in other words, communal efforts and artifices. To me, this says that we travel within groups of souls. So communal effort. So we say, okay, let's the 5 of us go have an experience of coming in and incarnating as a soul group and go through multiple experiences, and each time we'll trade and we'll take different roles and we'll try out different, and this way it'll serve all of us. So that's what they're referring to. And they say communal efforts and artifices. So that's interesting. An artifice is a creative trick. So it's like something that's creating, but it's like a little bit like putting on something, like putting on a play, like it's not totally real. So in other words, they're talking about the veil here. They're saying, yeah, like this isn't who you really are, but you're going to go put on these costumes and you're going to play out a life and you're going to have this experience so that you can see yourself from all these different angles. And you're going to make it super believable. So we're going to drop the veil down, and that's what makes it an artifice. That's what makes it a trick, because we're going to temporarily trick your soul to make you believe that your experience is 100% real and not something you chose to do and that you created for your own learning. Yeah, totally amazing. Yeah. And so, okay, so then they go on to say, these feelings that replay again and again and are made to become something in each new frame. And that is the important part there. They say, and are made to become something. So it might seem like an infinitesimal change. Like you might be reincarnated with multiple people from past lives coming into a somewhat similar experience, and you make small changes, but they're saying that each time you make a change, it becomes something brand new. It becomes something relevant and important because you then fill it out, you flesh it out with you, right? You make it into something like that's a totally new book on you. Yeah. And then Mike says, oh, about that goddess, you say that she is the maternal energy goddess encompassing both male and female in wholeness, neither one above the other, just whole. Yes, that is perfect. That is exactly what this energy is. It's super cool. Yeah, and I'm sure that I'm not the first one to speak with her, but it's really, really cool that she's coming through. I love it. I love that she's talking with us now. Rodney says, life is but a stage and we all play upon it. Yes, exactly. Amina says, again, last week, we were invited to connect with our heart to the collective consciousness and to see the mind as simply an interface. Invited to go deeper and deeper and deeper, like the mirror in the mirror, and observe all these expressions of ourselves in stillness. That is so awesome. Amina, I'm so glad you're bringing that up, because I think if you want to go deeper with this message, last week's message was a meditation, and you could go in and do that meditation and the goal of that was to have a felt experience of what it is to be in this energy, to be in that stillness, to that center point where you're supposed to create from. So yeah, super cool. Thank you so much for the reminder, Amina. Yeah. Okay. So then they go on to say, and we say the time of separating yourself is nearly done. It's nearly time for reflection, to pull apart all that has been before. So we're supposed to look at all those experiences that we've had and pull them apart. It means like that's the healing. We're supposed to go into ourselves, to not resist all those things that were maybe painful that we experienced, and to bring them back into ourselves, right? To take it apart and to wish within it that you are made whole. To wish within it that you are made whole. That means you're inviting it, you're wishing, you're saying, look at all those parts of myself, even the parts I don't necessarily wish I experienced, and to wish it to come back into you, to wish it whole. So it's choice, right? It is acceptance. It's letting down our resistance of all those things we did, all those fractions of ourself, bringing them all back into the oneness of us. Yeah. So, and then they say this part, I put a little exclamation point on this paragraph. They say, to take apart the wholeness for investigation. This has been the suggestive pose for many incarnations. So that's what we've been doing, taking things apart for investigation. To move away from the center, to distribute yourself among many lives, many incarnations, many moments. So that's what we've been doing, right? Always moving further from our center, getting further and further and further out. That's been the whole thing. So think about how many lives you've created as you've moved further and further from the center, trying to cut yourself into smaller and smaller pieces, and then each of those pieces becomes whole again, of course. Just like, and don't think of it as cutting, because that implies that it's like a cake and you run out. So maybe the better thing is to think again about the mitosis, that each one divides and makes itself again, and then divides and divides and divides and divides until there's a gazillion of you out there having these different experiences. But each one is whole. Each one has a full experience. So your life in this time is full and complete. and you have the wholeness inside you. So, so then to take yourself apart into so many instantiations of what you are, and to look at yourself from every possible pose, and to wonder for yourself, how have you been made? So what are you? Who are you? That's the goal. Into what purpose shall you rise to become whole again? So that's the idea. We're trying to move all the way out like a breath, and then come all the way back in, right? Everything is the same, a heartbeat. All the way expanded, all the way back in. Except this has been the experience of living a gazillion lives and then bringing them all back into the center. And they go on to say, in this distancing from what you are, what you know has become the central to your existence. So as we move away from the center, which is heart, we have moved into our head, which is the process of trying to understand ourselves with our head. We separate. That is how we learn. We separate things. They said that just recently. It was a beautiful, so concise, like knowledge separates us, the heart unifies us. So in the process of separation, we have gone into our head in order to try to understand what and who we are, right? So in this distancing from what you are, what you know has become the housing that is celebrated. So this has become the emphasis. It has been a processing by which you diagnose through the obstacles that are put before you. So we learn by running into things, by running into the karma of our experience. And as you come full circle in your comprehension to in this roundabout wheel of reincarnation, so I love here that they are showing that reincarnation is a wheel. We talk about that you have a wheel of life and you reincarnate. But in the same way, this whole experience that we've gone through, the separation back into unity, is also a wheel of reincarnation. So we have the individual life, and then we have the life of the entire soul. So the small inside the big, again, right? Super cool. The roundabout wheel of reincarnation, and you come into your wholeness, into your fullness, as the singular into the whole, into the plural, into the oneness. You are made and made again, and reframed into the becoming of what is new. So this whole thing that we're doing, this whole thousands of lives you've lived, have been about coming back to the center to renew yourself into unity, so that all of human consciousness can renew into what is new. But what is new is based on you. So we have to renew. We have to take this plunge. We have to be the leaders, the teachers, the role models. We have to embody this change ourselves, so that it can then be the contagious influence that influences the rest of the collective consciousness, so that our new truth will be freer. It'll be this new way of being, right? So you become the model of what is new and what will be. Yeah. All right, then they go on to say, so as you journey within yourself to be made whole, all that is around you journeys through you and comes forward onto the precipice of the new beginning. Thus, you are the predecessor of the great shift of humanity. How about that, you guys? Not a lot of pressure, right? Not too much pressure for you. Yeah. And Shelly says that meditation is amazing from last week. Thank you so much, Shelly. Yeah, if you haven't heard that one, I highly recommend it. It is like, just sit with it. Last week's meditation, just put it on, just close your eyes and don't try to listen. Just let it wash over you, because the energy is, yeah. And then go back and listen to it. Like, we talk about it afterwards so you can get the full meaning. But yeah, thank you for that. I loved it too. Yeah. And Rodney says, time is short. We should not tarry along the path, but quickly clear and heal our karma, sharing as much of our love as possible. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for that. And Mike says, thank you, Anne. I have to take my dog for a walk. All right. Thank you for joining us, Mike. Have a great weekend. All right. So then, yeah, you are the predecessor for the great shift of humanity. You embody what is coming. You are, and I highlighted this part, you are the conveyor of this truth. You become what is to be. As you heal what is within you, so heals humanity. You lay the groundwork, the framework of the new beginning. You are what it shall be. The more you heal, therefore, the more you will be free. Right? To me, yeah, it is like really, I think it's a big shift away from this idea that we're all just struggling to catch the bus, hoping that we're going to be part of this new shift in consciousness, and that the consciousness shift is like a place we're trying to get to, as if it's a destination that we're just going to try to arrive at. And they're saying, no, you are creating it. It doesn't exist yet. So you have to do the work now. We have to work on ourselves now to make it as good as it can possibly be, so that we get to all enjoy it, so that we all benefit from it. Yeah. And then they say, and we say to focus upon now in your own moments of quiet solace, to focus upon the significance of your own role. And I think in the gentlest way possible, they're saying take ourselves seriously. They're saying you cannot realize how important you are in this process, that you get to determine what the new consciousness of humanity will be. Like that is, like it couldn't be bigger, right? It couldn't be bigger. So to focus on, to realize it so that we will do as much as we can to heal ourselves. They say of your own purpose for becoming. So here's your own purpose for becoming is to hold within the family of humanity the trial of becoming, right? That is what we're doing here. We are embodying the trial of becoming so that we can be the role model to show the collective how to become, right? And then they say, and to become one who is among the many, who shall then share the wealth of your own journey and draw into the fold of renewal those you shall meet, and shall bring all that is and has been known within the capacity of separation back into wholeness and unity, right? So that this is something they're starting to talk about. How is it that you're going to spread your light? How is it that you're going to be this template? And they talk about it at length here, which is really, really cool. So you become it, and then your energy becomes contagious. But there's a paragraph here where they discuss it that I absolutely love. And you're saying, can you do a small video on how to meditate properly? Oh, thanks, Kimberly. That's a great idea. Yeah, I will figure out how to do that. Thank you. That's a super idea. All right. And then you're saying this processing that you shall, and thank you for your sweet words. I appreciate you. Mary says peace bathing might be a good way to learn how Kimberly. It's amazing. Oh, great suggestion, Mary. Yeah, peace bathing is a meditation practice that we do once a month. So that would be a great idea if you're able to join peace bathing, because then you have all the support. Yeah, very, very cool idea. This processing that you shall have done, which you shall meet, grows in its capacity to encompass the whole. And I love that they say here, which you shall meet. It says to us, that says that there's further to go, that we still have time. That if you worry about like, oh, I haven't done enough, I'm left behind, I'm just, what if you're just starting? They're saying, don't worry. Like we still have time. They're saying that which you shall meet. In other words, it's inevitable. It's already happened from their perspective. From their perspective, they already see us there, but it's coming from and through us. And we're saying that we shall meet it. We will have time to do this. Right? Grow in our it grows in its capacity to encompass the whole. For as you demonstrate within your own soul the substance of completion, this completion shall be met with outer resistance. And as this is relinquished, so the whole shall come to meet you. So in other words, you heal yourself, you become balanced, you become whole, and then the outer world gets to experience that. And the outer world may find resistance to that wholeness, and that resistance, they're triggered, right? They see themselves. They're like, well, how did your life get so bright and shiny? And then they realize, wait a minute, I kind of want what you have. Like, how do I get there, right? As this is relinquished, as their outer resistance comes down, the whole shall come to meet you. The processing of your own experience must be held as significant, must be held as important, done for yourself and for the entirety of humanity. You are one cell within the body, one moment within all time. You are, however, not insignificant. So that idea that like you're one in a small part of the big part, but that doesn't mean you're insignificant. For the whole cannot exist in completion without your journey. And your journey, as it comes and becomes into itself, savors the experience. So it's meant to be joyful. It's meant to be rich and rewarding and deep, like, right? So it's this thing is it's a journey for you, but it's also a journey for the whole. This explanation of what it is to travel through and beyond, to separate, to go right all the way to as far out as we can go, into as many tiny fractions as we can become, and then to renew yourself back into wholeness, becomes the historical artifact of the time that has been. So interesting. So in other words, that is the thing that is important about all the history we have had. So the history, as we think about it, is not actually that interesting. What's interesting is our history of expanding out into 1,000 permutations of one soul and then bringing that back into wholeness. That is what's history. That's the artifact that of the time that has been. So that is what we will then look back on. That's how we will process everything that's come before. We will see it as a journey to understanding ourselves. And they call it of the separating. That's how they name it, the separating. And as you separate from these experiences, in other words, we separate from the separating because everything is fractal. We separate from these experiences and come into renewal. A new time frame is set that is modeled upon the ingenuity, the novelty, the discovery of your own renewal. So your own process is the template, right? Of your own experience, of your own journey. each of these are compiled into the fabric of a new human mind. So in other words, the actual experience of your healing, that is it. The way that you overcame, that becomes part of the fabric of the new human mind, right? A new human method to interact. So the way that so think about this. The healing journey is about coming to peace with yourself. It's about learning to accept all parts of you, learning to, even the parts that are the parts that you could never imagine loving, the parts that, and when I say a part, think about your greatest trauma as something that is part of you, because you were there. If it's a trauma to you, then you were there. And that whole experience is part of your existence. And we have to come to terms to release our resistance, to come to a place where we can learn to love that. And that experience of learning to love the hardest, deepest wounds we've got, that becomes part of the fabric of the new human mind. So it teaches us unity, because if we can learn to love that, we can learn to love each other. So that's how it works. Yeah. So, right. Where is it? A new human method to interact, right? And that's how we get to world peace. For within yourself, you find the template of resistance fades and you come into wholeness. As you come into unity, as you come into the self-acceptance. And this template is then shared externally beyond the self and is contagious within the fabric of all of humanity, of all humankind. So why is that contagious? Here's how they say it. This is how they say it spreads. This is really cool. They say, as the internal harmony is met with external resistance, healing happens. And humanity then models itself upon the journey that you are taking and comes into its own struggle, conveyance, resuscitation. So in other words, you are out there being whole and loving yourself, and that triggers other people, and it raises up the injustices in the world, the trauma in the world, the war in the world. Like, what are we seeing right now? Like, why are we having the poly crisis right now, right? All of this is coming to the surface to be healed because so many of us are working on ourselves, right? We heal and it triggers the world, which is great because the world, everything has to heal. Yeah. The revisitation of all it has felt and done must come into the mind, into the time frame of this experience. We got to bring it all to the surface, all the injustice, everything, right? And all shall be revealed into love, into the self-expression of the human consciousness as one of peaceful harmony. Resistance shall no longer be felt within your own self, your own soul, or within that of the whole, which shall be conquerable only by its own divinity. So imagine this, that we are in this process of triggering the world, and the world is going through its process of raising up to the surface war after craziness, including all the climate disasters that are happening, including the violence that's anything you can think of, the everything that's going on that's nuts, that's in the news right now. All of that is being brought to the surface, and then boom, in comes the flash of light, which while that is all on the surface being exposed, it opens it up to healing, right? It has to be on the surface in order for it to be healed. It has to be in the light in order for the light to hit it, right? If all that stuff is repressed and kept in the shadows with resistance, then the light comes and it just glances off. So we're raising it all up to the surface, right? That's what we're doing. Yeah. So where was I with that? And all shall be revealed into love. Right there we go. I read that part. Resistance shall no longer be felt within your own soul, or within that of the whole, which shall be conquerable only by its own divinity. So in other words, once we are in unity with ourselves, we are no longer prey to negativity, right? That we are centered and whole in our divine nature. So we're no longer on the karmic wheel at that point. The karmic construct is gone for us. They go on to say, the divinity of starlight that you carry is infectious. So this is how it spreads. Once you balance your masculine and feminine energies, connect to your higher self, that energy you bring in is infectious. It's starlight, and it comes inside you, and it is infectious. And they say, and as you draw this down into your own incarnation, so as you connect and bring that into your more and more of your higher self, and it's not an all or nothing. You can bring it in bits, little bit. You'll get more and more and more connected. So it's every little bit you do helps, right? You bring it into this incarnation. It becomes something more than what moves through you. It becomes a contagion, a spreadable experience of life. This is probably my favorite paragraph. A spreadable experience of life, a sense of what you are and what you do that can be held in the consciousness of another long enough for them to breathe your world, to taste your truth, and to want it within. So this is like a little bit of telepathy. where by being around you, someone gets a sense of how you live, of what it's like to be healed. They feel your experience in a really concrete way. Like they really understand the delta of where they are when they're trapped in their own resistance and what it feels like to be free of that. And they experience from you. So you're close by, you interact with them, and they all of a sudden feel your reality. And that's how it spreads. So, and this comes in, I think, because of the flash of light, that everybody has access, where we start to feel each other in these really deep ways. But just because someone has a telepathic gift doesn't necessarily mean that their vibration is really high. Like, you can have channels that are channeling some nasty critters because their frequency is low. Or you can have someone who sees spirits, but they see really terrible spirits because they're going to see the spirits that resonate with their frequency. And you can have other people who have super high vibe and they just see angels all the time, you know? So in other words, when they are with you, they're going to be able to have the gift of telepathy, even if maybe their frequency hasn't raised as high as they would want it to. And they will connect with you and feel how you are living and experiencing life, and they're going to want it. They're going to be like, how do I get that? Can you show me? Can you teach me? Right? That's the idea. They say the internal desire to rupture, to part from what has been the divide, the separation within their own hearts is renewed. So this comes back to them. Like they had it before they got here, they just forgot. Now it's renewed because of this experience of connecting with you. They say, and this awakening, begun so softly, so secretly, so quietly within you, becomes a wildfire of interpretation from one soul to the next, as each one begins to feel the concreteness of this reality dissipate and the suggestive layer of what is before you come into a frame of your knowings. So this is like beautifully expressed. I could not imagine a better way of describing this. It's so beautiful. Like, imagine that's so softly, so secretly, our own little awakenings. Like, how many of you had a secret awakening you didn't tell anyone, right? How many of us did this as a very private journey, you know, and then before you have anyone to talk to, you're having these awarenesses come in, right? This soft, like, quiet secret, and then all of a sudden it becomes a wildfire, right? And it's of interpretation. So in other words, each soul makes it their own. They'll learn from you. They take the template and they make it their own. Right, from one soul to the next. So cool. And they feel what has been so concrete dissipate. The way things have been, that they feel so stuck in their stuckness. It's like, oh, this is concrete. And it just dissipates. And then all of a sudden, the new layer, right, it comes into presence, and they start to believe it. They start to feel it, to see it, and they learn from you, right? So incredible. I want to tattoo this phrase on my forehead. This whole paragraph. They go on to say, we wish for you to take the template of your own healing, to know that your distance, your journey cannot be made and extinguished. No, it shall take its form. It shall take its place in all that you do, in all that you relinquish and lay down and step through and move beyond. It shall become the framework for humanity as it is made from within you. So amazing. Thus we say, your journey is precious. Your journey is important. What you may have made of yourself, through yourself, from yourself, where you have found your truth within the soul's expression. What you have loved and brought into the physical. This dimensional aspect of yourself becomes concrete and contagious. I love it. Totally love it. Oh, okay. So let's see what you guys are saying. Where are you? There we go. And then, hey, Andrea, so good to see you. Just catching the last few minutes from Virginia. Welcome. And I hope your move went well. Hopefully you're settling well. You're saying, can't wait to watch the replay. Kimberly says, I apologize for my emphasis on time being short. My intent was to express my belief that soon the great awakenings will begin. I would be remiss if I did not say no one will left behind. Yes, thank you so much. Very, very true. Yes. And then, that was what Rodney said. Thank you. And then Kimberly says, yes, I will. I've been doing the 9 frequencies, but I will definitely do the next peace bathing. Fantastic. We'd love to have you, Kimberly. Awesome. And the 9 angelic frequencies are beautiful for meditating as well. So that's you're on your way if you're already doing that. So that's fantastic. Dawn says, on my website, you can find peace bathing meditation. Oh yeah, and you will sign up and it's emailed to you. You will love it. Yeah, so you can try the first one. If you haven't tried peace bathing before, go to my website. You can get one of our past peace bathings will be emailed to you for free. So you can try it out for yourself and see what it's like. Yeah. And then Rodney says, I love the wildfire analogy. It is so very true with me. Awesome. Awesome. I love it. It is magical how this works. Yeah, totally. And Jay says, the harvest and transition to fourth density. Thank you so much. And Jay, I always welcome and appreciate. Jay is very familiar with the teachings of Ra and frequently adds that perspective to what the angels say. And it always blows my mind how they are so much similarity between the Ra teachings and what, because I'm not familiar. And I know like I should read it, but I don't, because I don't want to can't or in any way influence what I channel. So I don't actually listen to a lot of other channels, even though they have amazing things to say. And I do appreciate it when you guys tell me, hey, this is the same as what I hear there, because I deliberately don't listen, even though I would love to, because I want to make sure that when things come through, it's better for me if it's a surprise. That way I know for sure that I'm connected and I don't want to just be a parrot, you know what I mean, of things that have come through before. I want to make sure that my channel is as clear as possible. So I do that by trying to keeping myself in a little bit of a bubble. But it is always amazing to me when we hear the same truths from many sources. I find that to be a beautiful thing, because it is important, right? It's important that we have lots of different voices out there, because it may be that the way someone else expresses it is exactly the way you need to hear it. Yeah, so cool. And M says, this makes so much sense to me. I've been told by my guides that I will be bringing a whole new element to the modality I use for my own healing. And I'm being trained in it to heal others. And I've been told that I'll gain clients just by seeing. Yes, I love that. Seeing how I've changed and hearing about my journey. Like how you said, people will see it and say, how can I have that? My guide said this just the other day. Yes, exactly. I think that is exactly it. And many of you, all of you, have spiritual gifts, and we are meant to be using them, which is why, if you are not yet part of Soul Convergence, this is why you should join us. We start June 15th, the next round of Soul Convergence. And all of this that they're talking about, all of the healing that they're talking about in terms of balancing your masculine and feminine energy and connecting to source, you could bungle along like I did and take years to do that, or you could do Soul Convergence and do it in 11 weeks. It is, well, technically it's 2 phases of 11 weeks if you do both masculine, healing from the masculine perspective and healing from the feminine perspective. But it will guide you through this process much more easily and much faster than it happens on your own. As a matter of fact, I mean, like the karmic perspective of just bumping into our obstacles and trying to see ourselves, it's magic. It works really, really well, but it's the painful process. And it doesn't have to be that painful anymore. They have brought out the big guns. All of the healing modalities that are coming to the planet right now are here because we are meant to go through this as quickly as we possibly can. We're meant to step into as whole of an expression of ourselves as we can possibly embody. And Soul Convergence is by far the most powerful healing I have yet channeled. And the next round starts June 15th. And if you are thinking about it, come and check it out on my website. We start, and we'll kick it off with a call on the 15th. It's a self-paced program, but you get one-on-one support with your dream analyst as well as live calls with me. So Joy is joining. Yay! That's so great. I'm so glad you'll be there. Yeah, I am very passionate about it because I've seen the effect, and that's what matters most to me. Is I want to find the things that work and double down on those things. And so I find other practices that work. I promote them. That's why I promote the dream work. That's why I incorporate the dream analyst into my program, is because it's a process that works. And don't worry if you don't dream. That a lot of people who don't dream start dreaming as soon as they start the program. And even if you don't dream, there's a way that we can still access your subconscious to help you and guide you through the process. So don't worry about it. All right. If you have any questions about Soul Convergence or anything else, you can email us at support@anntucker.com. And thank you guys so much for sharing the message with me. It is so beautiful that we can do this together. I feel like I get so much more out of it by sharing it with you. You guys always bring different perspectives. And it's as we discuss it and we build energy around it, I just feel like the message just expands. So I am super grateful. Thanks, you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you next Friday Live. Bye, you guys.